Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi shir.
Shalom and welcome to today's Daf Yomi Niddah Daf Samachtes. We're on Samachtes Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. Iboilehu. The Gemara is a Shaila. The Gemara Shaila is referring back to the Halach and the Mishnah that a Zav and a Zava are required to do a Hefsek Tahara, a B'dika, to verify that there's no more Tumah. The following day they begin their Sfiras Shiva Nakim, where they are boidik for 7 consecutive days, after which they are toivel and complete their tahara. In the case where they only did a b'dikas Rishon Shvi, the first and 7 of the 7 days, and the days in between they did not do a b'dika, there was machlekes in the Mishnah, according to Rabbi Lezer, harihein b'cheskas tahara. That is considered to be enough to establish a cheskas tahara, and it is considered as though he did a full b'dikas Shiva Nakim. Rabbi Shua holds the only days that are counted are the first and 7 days, the actual days that a b'dika was done. Rabbi Kiva says no, the only day that we count is the most recent day, the Yom Shvi Bilvat. What's going to be in the following case, where he did a b'dikas Rishon Ushmini, not Rishon Ushvi, but rather the first and the 8th day. Now the 8th day is already past the set of Shiva Nakim. Will that be considered sufficient according to Rabbi Lezer? Ibailu, ask the Gemara. Hazav v'hazava shebatku atzman yom rishon v'yom shmini umatzatar. They did a proper b'dika on the yom rishon and the yom shmini. V'shar hayamim leibatku, and they did not do a b'dika on the rest of the days. The Rabbi Lezer Mao. According to Rabbi Lezer, what is the halacha? Tchilasan v'soifan v'inan. Does Rabbi Lezer require the beginning of the Shiva Nakim as well as the end of the Shiva Nakim? Specifically, when he did a b'dika on day number 1 and day number 7, those 2 days will combine to be considered a proper b'dika Shiva Nakim, since he has the beginning of the Shiva Nakim, he has the end of the Shiva Nakim. Therefore, it is considered as though he was b'dik throughout the Shiva Nakim. V'hacha, in our case, where he did a b'dika on the 1st and the 8th day, tchila sanika, certainly you have the first, you have the beginning of the Shiva Nakim. Saifan leka, but you do not have the end of the Shiva Nakim. The 8th day is already past the Shiva Nakim, and will not be considered sufficient, even according to Rabbi Lezer. Oidilma, or perhaps chilas and afbishein seifan. It is enough to have a b'dika in the beginning of the Shiva Nakim, although you don't have one at the end. Now Rashi explains that this Gemara Shaila is specifically directed at Shitas Rabbi Lezer, and not at the other Shitas. Why is that so? It says Rashi, according to Rabbi Kiva, it's simple. The only day that was counted was the most recent day, the Yom Shvi. So certainly in this case, the only day that will count is the Yom Hashmini. Why? Because we're concerned perhaps there was a Re'iyah in between the 2 b'dikas. So therefore, according to Rabbi Kiva, there's no discussion. Certainly the only day that counts is the actual Yom B'dika, the most recent Yom B'dika, which is the Yom Hashmini. According to Rabbi Shua as well, Rabbi Shua holds that the days that are counted are the actual Yemei B'dika, the Yom Rishon and the Yom Shvi. He needs to add another 5 days to complete the 7. Explains Rashi, Rabbi Shua will only hold that way in the case of a Rishon and a Shvi, where the days can actually combine with each other. We combine the beginning and the end of the Shiva Nakim to be considered a b'dika Shiva Nakim. So according to Rabbi Shua and Rabbi Kiva, there's no discussion in the Gemara regarding this case of a b'dikas Rishon and Shmini. The Gemara Shaila is specifically only according to Rabbi Lezer, who says, Harihen b'cheskas tahara. He uses terminology of cheskas tahara, which is a very general term, that the first day and the 7th day provide a cheskas tahara. So perhaps we could ponder whether he requires the first and the 7th day, or perhaps it's sufficient to have only the first day. That itself will be considered enough to give him a cheskas tahara. Since he established tahara on the beginning of the 7 days, that would be considered a proper cheskas tahara, that we can assume that anything that happened afterwards was simply a resumption of this cheskas, a continuation of the cheskas tahara, and it is as though he did a proper b'dikas Shiva Nakim, even though we don't know for sure, we haven't verified for certainty. So there's a machlekes amiroim in this regard. Omarav, it is the same. Both cases are the same. Whether it's 1 and 7, whether it's 1 and 8, it makes no difference. As long as they did a b'dika at the beginning of the Shiva Nakim, although there was no b'dika at the end, it is enough according to the Shitas Rebbe Lezer, we don't need an actual verification during the Shiva Nekiyim. A cheskas tahara, which was already established at the outset of the Shiva Nekiyim, is sufficient. Rebbe Chanina Amar, no, tchilasan v'seifan binan. We are required to at least have the beginning and the end, meaning number 1 and number 7, according to Rebbe Lezer. In our case, certainly you have the beginning, you have number 1, seifan leka, but you don't have the end of the Shiva Nekiyim, since day number 8 is already past the set of 7 days. Meisvei, we have a Braisa, Kasha, which will be a Kasha on Rav. Vishavan, both all Tanoim agree. V'zava Shabbat ku asun yemishn yeshmini umatzutar. In the case of a Zav and a Zava that will baidik themselves day number 1 and day number 8, and they found themselves to be tar. She'ein lahem el yom shmini el shmini v'levad. The only day that will count will be day number 8. Man Shavan. Who is the Braisa referring to? Which Shitas? Braisa says they agree. Who's they? Lav, Rebbe Lezer, Rebbe Shua. Is it not referring to Rebbe Lezer, Rebbe Shua? Meaning that in this case Rebbe Lezer will agree, will admit to Rebbe Shua that it is not considered as though there was a B'dikas Sfiras Shiva Nekiyim, since the 1st and the 8th are too far apart. So this would be a Raya proof to Rebbe Chanina that even Rebbe Lezer is only speaking about a case of 1 and 7 and not 1 and 8. So the Gemara, Loi, no. Rabbi Shua, Rabbi Kiva. When the Braisa says Vishavan that they agree, the Braisa is referring to Rabbi Shua and Rabbi Kiva. The Rabbi Shua will agree in this case to Rabbi Kiva that it is not considered the B'dika Shiva Nekiyim, and they do not count, merely the 8th day will count as day number 1 of Sfira Shiva Nekiyim, and this will be a Shavan, he will be going along, following along with the Shita of Rebbe Kiva, who holds as well as the only day that counts is the most recent Yaim B'dika, which is day number 8. However, according to Rebbe Lezer, even in this case of day 1 and 8, it will be deemed sufficient to be considered as if there was a B'dikas Shiva Nekim. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Sheshes, Amar Rav Yirmiyah, Ba'aba Amar Rav. Another halacha on the name of Rav, which will be an additional, a greater chiddush of Rav, above and beyond the original Chiddush. Rav was mechalish to us that, according to Rebbe Lezer, tchilasan afa b'she'ein seifan. Here comes even a greater Chiddush. Niddah shefrisha b'tahara b'shlishi shalah. A Niddah that separated herself. She did a hefsek tahara on her 3rd day. Seifrasai leminyan shiva nekim. She can count that day as day number 1 of her shiva nekim. Ask the Gemara, Niddah, Sfira Lamali, since when does a Niddah require Shiva Nekim? Ela'ema must be Zava Shefrisha B'Tahara, B'Shlishi Shalah. If a Zava was Mafresh B'Tahara, she did a B'dika and a Hefsek Tahara on her 3rd day of Re'iyah, and now she needs to do B'dika Shiva Nekim. So Ifrasa Leminyan Zay Nekim, she could count that day, the 3rd day, meaning she saw day number 1, number 2, and number 3. On the day number 3, she did a Hefsek Tahara. That is already considered as if day number 1 for her Sfiras Minyan Zayanikim. How can you say that? Rav Kikusoy Armalishmaitoi? Is Rav then following the Shita of the Kusim? Now the Kusim have erred in this regard. They held that the day of Hefsek Tahara is already considered as day number 1 of Shiva Nekim. We don't follow that Shita. So then could you say that Rav is stating this halacha based on the Shita of the Kusim? The Amri Yoim Shepisekas, by the day that there was a Hefsek, Seifrasa Laminian Zayin? How could that be? It must be that Rav is saying something else. Kika Amar Rav Levar Mishlishi. Aside from the 3rd day, aside from the day of Hefsek Tahara, you need to count Shiva Nekim. Ask the Gemara, Bar Mishlishi, if that's what Rav is teaching us. Pshita, that's Pasha, everybody knows that the Shiva Nekim only begin the day following the Hefsek Tahara. Leitzricha must be speaking about the following case. Kegoyin the Leibat Kat Shvi. Rav is speaking about a case where she didn't do a B'dika until the 7th day. She only did her B'dika on day number 7. And Rav is teaching us a Chiddush, that although there was no B'dika performed until day number 7, that is enough to give her Tahara. That is enough to establish a retroactive Cheskas Tahara, that we can assume just as day number 7 is Tahar, so too all the days leading into day number 7 were Tahar, and she has her Sfiras, Minyan, Shiva Nekim. So basically we have 2 Chidushim of Rav. The initial chiddush of Rav was Tchilasan Afal Pi She'ein Seifan. Day number 1 is enough. Now Rav is adding even a greater chiddush. Even day number 7 is enough. Seifan Afal Pi She'ein Tchilasan. V'ashmein, and Rav is teaching us Hasam in the first chiddush Tchilasan Afal Pi She'ein Seifan. V'hacha, now he's adding another chiddush. Kamash Mulan, he's teaching us Seifan Afal Pi She'ein Tchilasan. I would think, who says such a great chiddush? Who says that in the case of Seifan Afal Pi She'ein Tchilasan, that is enough? I would think Tchilasan Afal Pi She'ein Seifan, granted, in the case where there was a b'dika on day number 1, which is Tchilasan, the beginning of the Shivanakim, that is enough. Who darmin over there will give him a chazaka, cheskas tahar, the kmina chaskayu. We put him back on the cheskas tahar, we establish the cheskas tahar, and all the days subsequent to the first day are continuous. The first day is cheskas tahar. Avos Seifan, but in the latter case where there was a b'dika only at the end of the Shivanakim, Seifan Afal Pi She'ein Tchilasan, loy, that is a tremendous chiddush, and that certainly would not be considered. Kamash Malan, so Rav is teaching us a chiddush. Yes, in the case of Seifan Afal Pi She'ein Tchilasan, that too is considered to be enough to give the Zav a cheskas tahara and be considered as if he was baidik the complete Shiva Nakim. So in conclusion, Rav is telling us a tremendous chiddush, that according to Shittas Rebbe Lezer, we don't need actual verification. A cheskas tahara is enough, whether it's day number 1 without anything else, or whether it's day number 7 without anything else. Now if you think for a second, Reb Chanina's chiddush wasn't as great. Reb Chanina said that one is required to have tchilasan v'seifan, meaning, even according to Rebbe Lezer, we need actual verification. We need svarim b'fanenu. We need to know that there was no dam. We need to know that there was no tumah. Rebbe Lezer is machalish a leniency, that even by doing a b'dika on both tail ends of the Shivanakim, the beginning and the end, they sort of combine to give us, to constitute a din b'dika on the full 7 days, and it is considered as though there was an actual verification during the full 7 days. However, according to Rav, who only requires one or the other, either the beginning or the end, that certainly could not be considered as an actual bona fide verification. That is merely a cheskas tahara, that is a presumption. Even so, Rav holds that is enough to be considered Shiva Nikim. Ask the Gemara, how could Rav say that? Eini, v'haki asa Ravan and Rav Nikim. Omar, he said, Maser Rabbi Yisrael Chanina Toya. Rabbi Yisrael Chanina asked a kasha from a brisa of a woman who gave birth, and she is mistaken, she has erred, she's confused as to her status. I'm not sure what he was asking. This is a sugya mentioned earlier in the Masechta, but what is pertaining to our Gemara is as follows. This Isha was a Yeledes, and we know that a Yeledes, for instance, a Yeledes Zachar, has Shiva Yimei Tumah, where she is considered to be a Niddah. After the 7 Yimei Tumah, she is Toivel, Balayla, and she is Tar. Now, if she is a Yeledes Bezoiv, if she was a Zava as well, then she has the halachas of a Zava. Now, the main difference between a Zava and a Niddah is a Niddah sees Dam, she's Tameh for 7 days, and she's Toivel the night following. A Zava, if she sees 1 day, she is Sheimir Yom Kneged Yom, the next day she has to verify that there was no Dam, and she's Toivel on that day. We employ the halacha of Mixas Hayim Kekuloi. If she sees that day as well, she needs to be Sheimir the next day. She needs to verify the next day that there was no Dam. That being the case, she'll be Toivel that day, Tfilah Zava B'Yom again. These two cases are considered to be a Zava Ktana. If she sees for 3 days in a row, she is a Zava Gdoila. That requires B'dikas, Sfiras, Shiva Nakim. She needs to be Baidik for 7 days following the 3 days, and then she is Toivel on the last day of Shiva Nakim, again, Tfilah B'Yamama. Now Rashi explains that Gemara here is following the Shita of Tfilah B'Zmana Mitzvah. One is Mechuyev to be Toivel at the exact time that he's eligible to be Toivel. Meaning a Zava, if she becomes eligible to be Toivel midday, she needs to be Toivel by day. She can't wait, she can't delay until the night. A Niddah, however, is required to be Toivel, Dafka specifically at night, at the completion of the Yemei Niddas. Now in this case of a Yeledes who arrived and is unsure as to her status, the Gemara says, "V'kaimelon Shavua Kama," the first week that she came, the Asir Kaman V'leilusa Matvilinala. We are Toivel her at night. Since we're not sure when the Yemei Niddas have completed, so every night for the next 7 nights we'll be Toivel her, just in case. We have to cover all possibilities. Perhaps today was the last day of her Yemei Niddas, she's Toivel tonight. Perhaps today is the first day of her Yemei Niddah, so she needs to be Toivel night number 7. So in total it is 7 tefillos. B'yamama lo matfilin la. However, during the daytime, she does not have to do any tefillos. Meaning, we don't take into consideration the possibility that she is a zava. If she would have been a zava, she would have been Yoledes B'Zoiv, she needs to do a bedika of Shiva Nekim and be toivel by day. We don't do that. Why don't we do that? We don't do a tefillah b'yimama. Why? Because since we're not sure, she doesn't know if she did any sphira, and therefore we don't have an actual knowledge that there was a sphira, and therefore there's no din sphira nekim. It's as if she made no sphira, and she can't do any tefillah until she actually goes and does shiva nekim b'fanenu. Now, if you hold that one is not required to do sphira b'fanenu, one is not required to do sphira in our presence, we don't have to have an actual knowledge and a verification of the bedika. According to Rav Shita, that is not required. So in the case of an Isha, why wouldn't we have to take into consideration that perhaps she was a Zava, and she did partial or full Sphira Shiva Nakim, and she's holding by some point in her Shiva Nakim, and she needs to do us a Tvila B'yamama to account for the halacha of Tvila V'zava. B'yamama nam in Tvilina. She needs to be Taival during the day as well. Dima Yoledes Zachar B'Zayvi V'Avdel Asfurin. Perhaps she was a Yoledes B'Zayv. In addition to being a Niddah, she was also a Zava, and she already did somewhat of a Sphira. And now she's up to the Ya'imat Tvila. She has to be Taival. So why do we ignore that? Why do we only be Taival her at tonight and not by day? It seems pretty obvious from here. She needs to have Sphiras of Nikiyim in our presence, meaning we have to have actual verification of the Sphira. It can't be just presumptions. It can't be just Chazakas and Sfekas. We need to have an actual knowledge that there was a Sphira here, there was a Bedika here. And only those days will count as the Shiva Nakim. In our case of a Toya, since that is not the case, there is no actual knowledge of a Sphira of a Bedika, therefore she has no din, no chiv of a Tfilas Zav until she does the Sphira in a bona fide clarity and B'fanenu in our presence that we know that there was a Bedika. So this would be a stira to Rav. Says the Gemara, V'lav miyakim no Kiva. Sure, that Bryce is found the Shita of Rabbi Kiva, and we know that Rabbi Kiva already, in our mission, we know that Rabbi Kiva holds that we need the actual verification. I'm not following Rabbi Kiva Shita. My Shita, my Chiddush, Rab's two Chiddushim, of Tchilasan, Av B'Shein Seifan, of Seifan, Av B'Shein Tchilasan, which implies that we do not need Sfurin and B'Fanenu, we don't need actual knowledge. That is following Shita of Rabbi Lezer. This Brisa is going according to the opinion of Rabbi Kiva. That has nothing to do with my Chiddush. Now, how do we know that there is such a Shita? That such a Shita actually exists? That anybody out there holds that one is not required to have Sfurim B'Fanenu? How do you know that the Rabbanon Lo Yiba'inon Sfurim L'Fanenu, the Snan? We've learned as follows. Toya, an Isha who's erred, who's confused, she doesn't know where she's holding. She says, Sha'amra Yom Echad Tami Re'isi. I've seen one day, I had one Re'iyah, but I'm not exactly sure if it was during the Yimei Niddah, and I'm Tameh for 7 days. I'm not sure if it was the Yimei Ziva, and I need to do as if Shemer Shem Kneged Yoim and be Tevel by day. I'm not sure. So what do we do with her? Says the Gemara, Matbil N'oisa Tes Tvilis. She needs to be Tevel 9 Tvilis. Zayin L'Niddah, Utrei L'Ziva. 9 of them are for the Yimei Niddahs, and 2 to cover the possibility of a Zava, a Shemer Yisrael Kneged Yom. Since she only saw 1 day, so one thing we know for sure, she's not a Zava Gedola. That's ruled out. We're still not sure if she is a Niddah and requires Tvila Balayla after the completion of the Shivas Yimei Niddah. Again, we don't even know when those Yimei Niddah have begun and when they will end. Therefore, she needs to undergo 7 tefillas. She needs to be tevel tonight, the next night, and the following night for 7 nights to cover all the possibilities of the ending of the Yimei Niddahs. Perhaps today is the last day of her Niddahs. Perhaps today is the first day of her Niddah. Therefore, she needs to do 7 tefillos b'layla. In addition, she needs to do 2 tefillos b'yayim. Say she arrived on a Friday midday. In that case, we have a suffix. Maybe she saw yesterday, b'yimei zivasa, and today was her sfiras yoyim echad. She was a shemeres yom keneged yom, and today she needs to be toivel. Or perhaps she saw today, and tomorrow she's seferes yom keneged yom, and tomorrow she will be toivel for the zava. So we need to do 7 tefillas b'layla and 2 tefillas b'yom. Now Rashi explains, this is all good and true if she came b'yimama, if she arrived during the day, but if she arrives at night, that actually adds another tefillah for the Yimei Niddah, because if she came, say, Friday night, perhaps her Yimei Niddah began right now, which is actually tomorrow, which is actually Shabbos, and therefore she needs to wait another 7 days to be toivel at the end of those 7 days for the Yimei Niddusa, which began on Shabbos. So aside from tonight, where we're toivel her b'layla, because perhaps tonight was the last day of her Yimei Niddas, we are also chayshish that perhaps Shabbos is the first day of Yimei Niddas, and she needs to be toivel another 7 days, in total of 8 tefillos b'layla for the Yimei Niddusa, and in addition to the 2 Yimei Zava, like we mentioned earlier. So she needs to do 10 tefillos in total. So again, if she arrives during the day, there are 9 total, 7 for Niddah, 2 for Zava. If she arrives at night, there is 10 total, 8 for Niddah, and 2 for Zava. But, says the Braisa, Ben Hashmashas Tamir Isi. If she says, listen, I saw one day, but I saw Ben Hashmashas, which is a suffix day, suffix night. In that case, she needs a whole bunch more. Matbil Noisa Yud Aleph Tfilis. She needs to have 11. Ask the Gemara, Yud Aleph Mavid Tayu. How does that make sense? Why would she need 11 Tfilis? Amar of Yirmi Yudifta Kon Shabbos Lafaneinu Ben Hashmashas. We're speaking about that she arrived to us during the time of Ben Hashmashas. In that case, we don't know if she saw right now. We don't know what right now is. Does it belong to Friday? Does it belong to Shabbos? In that case, we have to add another day, meaning we're adding another possibility. If Ben Hashmashas has a din of Shabbos, and her Riyah actually took place during this exact Ben Hashmashas that she came to us, in that case, the Yom Riyah is actually Shabbos. She needs to be Shemer Yom Keneged Yom on Sunday, Mitayil on Sunday. So that adds another day, which makes the Tefillah Ziva instead of 2, and adds another Tefillah of Ziva B'Yamama. So, in addition to the 8 Tefillahs of Niddah, she has to have another 3 Tefillahs B'Yamama to cover the possibilities of Ziva. Again, she arrived during Ben Hashmashas. In that case, V'havitam Niddah V'talas L'Ziva. So you have a cheshbon, you have a calculation of 11, because 8 are to address the whole gamut of possibilities regarding the Yimei Niddah. Again, perhaps today is the last day of Yimei Niddah, and therefore she's toivel tonight. Perhaps tonight is the first day of Yimei Niddah. Now tonight is really technically Shabbos already. So Shabbos is the first Yimei Niddah, and she needs to undergo 7 tefillos until the night after the 7 days that began on Shabbos, which is actually on Friday night. So really, it's from Friday to Friday for a total of 8 tefillos, b'leila, 8 tefillos that have to take place specifically at night. Utlas l'ziva, and she needs to undergo 3 tefillos to cover all the possibilities of the Yimei Ziva, because she arrived Ben Hashmashas. Now we have one suffix. Maybe Ben Hashmashas is really still Friday, still a din of Yom. Now maybe she saw yesterday Yom Echad, and today Friday was the day that she was Shemer Yom Keneged Yom, and she's mechuyet to be toivel today. Now perhaps the Ben Hashmashas is still Friday, so she quickly has to run to the mikvah and be toivel for Friday. Now perhaps she saw on Friday, and that would require tefillah the next day on Shabbos, so she has to be toivel b'imama on Shabbos. Perhaps Ben Hashmashas has already a din of Shabbos, and her Riyah actually took place on this exact time, this Ben Hashmashas, which means that her Riyah actually took place on Shabbos. That would be Mechayeva to be Shemer Yom Keneged Yom on Sunday, and be toivel during the day on Sundays. So you have a total of 3 tefillos b'yamama for the Zav, for a total of 11 tefillos. So this is the first part of the Braisa. So far so good. Continues the Braisa. Loi reisi kol ikar. She says, listen, I didn't see anything. In that case, matbil noisa tesvav tefillos. She needs to be toivel a total of 15 tefillos. Now how does that make sense? It sounds pretty absurd. Amarava, hay din loy daina. Such a din which is not really a proper din. You know who does this din? Dayani begalchi. In Galchi, in a place in Stoim, over there, they do such a din Torah. For instance, for example, of one of the very profound decisions, halachic decisions that they would come up with in Stoim was as follows. The Islay Torah, say, suppose somebody owned an ox, Liri Chadyaima. See, they rotated in Stoim. Everybody had a chance to graze the flock. Somebody who owned an ox, he would have to be a roya for 1 day. The less leitura, but if somebody was unfortunate, didn't have any ox, he would have to be roya lirit reyoimi. He would have to be a roya for 2 days. So it was ifcha mastaver. They worked, reverse logic there. There was a poor boy, an orphan, the son of a almona, of a widow. So he didn't own any behemoths. He took advantage of him and they gave him their oxen to graze. See, the smart boy, look what he did. He shachted them. And when he took off the hide, he said, listen guys, we have a system here in Stoim. The one that owns oxen, he's at a disadvantage. The one that doesn't own, he is preferred. Amarluhu, he told him like this. This is the way I'm going to work things. The Islay Torah, if somebody owns an ox, lishkol chad mashcha. He can take one oir, he can take one hide. The Islay Torah, if somebody doesn't own any oxen, lishkol trei mashchi, he can take 2. Amrle, what's going on here? Ma'yak de Amris, what are you talking about? Amrlu, so he replied to them, Soif dina ketchilas dina. The end of the din is similar to the beginning. Do you remember what you told me then? Tchilas dina, in the beginning of the din, lav man de leslei adif. Somebody who doesn't have, he's preferred. Soif dina navi. So too right now at the end, man de leslei adif. Somebody who doesn't have is preferred. And therefore I rule that whoever does not own any oxen, he will receive double portion of the hides of the behemoths. Says Rava, we can compare it to our case. Hachanami, ma hecha de amra reisi. When in the case where she says, I did see, sagilei, ibetesha tfilos, ibidal tfilos. When the woman comes and says, you know what, I saw 1 day, so either it's 9 or it's 11. Hecha de ka'amra eloi reisi. When she says, I haven't seen anything, it's reverse logic. How can you say in that case she'll be worse off and have to be told 15 times? Doesn't make any sense. You must interpret the Braisa as follows. You must sort of tweak the lashon of the Braisa. Certainly she saw. I saw, but I don't know how many times I saw. I may have seen once, I may have seen twice, I may have actually seen 3 times and become a Zava Gedola, which requires Shiva Nakim. That's her first shaila. First suffix is, I don't know how many I saw. Even Niddah reisi, it may ziva reisi. Her second shaila is, I don't know when I saw. In that case, we need to cover many more possibilities. Matbil noisa tesvav tfilois. She needs to be toivel 15 tfilois. How's that? Also, come on, be a mama. If she arrived to us by day, yavinela shevla niddah, then she's toivel 7 tfilois during the 7 upcoming nights to cover all possibilities of Niddah. Perhaps today is the last day of her Niddah. She's to be toivel tonight. Perhaps it is only the first day of her Yemei Niddahs, and she has to wait until the 7 days, and then be toivel then. So for the next 7 nights, she'll be toivel to cover the tefillas of a Niddah. V'tamni leziva. In addition to the 7 tefillas of Niddah, she also needs to do 8 tefillos to cover all the possibilities associated with ziva. For instance, perhaps today is the last day of Yimei Ziva. She needs to be toivel today. Perhaps today is the day of Re'iyah. She actually saw today, thereby making this the 3rd day of her Re'iyahs of a Zava Gedola. She needs to do Hefsek Tahara today and only begin her Shiva Nakim tomorrow and be toivel only in 8 days. So she needs to do 8 tefillos starting from today to 8 tefillos, be a mama for a total of 15 tefillos. So that's if she comes by day. Asoi kaman bilei lusa. But if she only arrives at night, in that case, yavinu lo tamni l'nida. So we have to add another tefillah for nidas, because perhaps today was the last day of the main niddah, she needs to be toivel at night. Perhaps now is the beginning of a Yemei Niddah, meaning tomorrow is really the first day of her Yemei Niddah, and she needs to wait another 7 days to be toivel for that. So in total it's 8 tefillos b'layla. But in that case, Ziva, she will only have 7 tefillos for Ziva. Ask the Gemara, how's that so? How did we deduct? What did we lose a tefillah for Ziva? Ziva Tamra Bayi. We just mentioned before, we calculated that even for Ziva, she's required to make 8 tefillos for Ziva. Why is that? Once again, because if today is the last day of her Shiva Nikim, she needs to be toivel today. The same thing tomorrow, the same thing the day following that. And at worst case, today was the last day of her Re'iyah, and her Shiva Nikim only begin tomorrow. In that case, she'll be toivel only in 8 days. So she needs a total of 8 tefillos starting from today, 8 tefillos to be a mama. So how can you say that if she arrives at night, she only needs 7? Ella, you must say idi v'idi in both cases, regardless of when she arrives, whether she arrives at night, whether she arrives by day. Shev l'nida, v'tam l'ziva, you have a total of 15, 7 for nida, 7 tefillos balayla to cover the nida possibilities, and in addition, you need 8 tefillos b'yamama to cover the ziva possibilities. Ask the Gemara on that. B'leilus, if she arrives at night, tamne l'nida boy. We need 8 for nida, as we mentioned earlier. So how can you say that regardless of when she arrives, she only needs 7 for nida? Says the Gemara, you're right. So why then did the Brisa say 15? The Brisa should have articulated that if she arrives by day, it's a total of 15. 7 for nida, 8 for ziva. If she arrives at night, it's a total of 16. 8 for nida and 8 for ziva. Says the Gemara, you're right. Ziva de psikale, ziva, the 8 tefillas of ziva, which are firm, which are set amounts. The lo ishna ki asa kaman b'yamama, lo ishna ki asa kaman b'leilya. Since regarding ziva, it's irrelevant when she came, whether she came at night, whether she came by day. There will still be a total of 8 tefillas. Chashale. That's why the Brisa counted it as a set amount. Niddah the leipsikale. However, regarding niddah, it fluctuates. The chiyasa kaman b'leilusa b'yitamni. If she arrives at night, then you need 8. B'yamama loika b'yitamni. But if she arrives by day, you don't need 8, you only need 7. So therefore, loika chashala. Therefore, the Brisa didn't go into such great detail. The Brisa only set forth a set amount of 15 in order to cover the typical case. And certainly, if there is an option of a niddah requiring an additional tefillah in the case of asil kamon b'leilya, and for a total of 16 cases, for 16 tefillahs. Now, how do we get into this brisa? We were looking for a shita that does not require sfurin b'fonenu. We don't actually have to have verification, a b'dika verification, in order for it to be considered sfiras shiva nakiyim. Now, this brisa seems to be pretty obvious that the Brisa is following the shita that you don't need sfurim b'fonenu, because this isha never performed any b'dikas, and still we consider the days as shiva nakiyim, and we treat it as if she already has partial or complete shiva nakiyim, and we obligate her to be toivel accordingly. If you hold that one is required to make b'dikas in our present, we have to actually verify that there was no dam. Kalahani tefillas lamali. Why then does the Brisa require to undergo so many tefillas of azava? We take in all the possibilities, we take into account all the different options and the afsharias, the possibilities that may have occurred associated with tumaziva. Why is that necessary? Since we don't have any b'dikas v'fanenu, so those days don't count at all. Let her just start her shiva nakim right now and be tovel once at the end of shiva nakim, and we save ourselves a lot of work. Klahani tefillas lamali. Tis per zayin. Let her count 7 days from today going forward. V'hadar titpa, and then be toivel. El lav shma minor. It is pretty obvious from this brisa that the brisa is following the shita of Rabbanani. The amri loy ba'inan esfurin lefanenu. So we have a clear-cut brisa which states a chiddush that one is not required to have sfurin lefanenu, although there were no bedikas done. Nevertheless, it can still be considered for the May Shiva Nakiyim, and one is required to be toivel accordingly. So we have a raya to Rav. Rav said, I have a raya, a shita that holds that one is not required to have Shiva Nakiyim bifanenu. It is enough to have a partial shiva nekiyim together with cheskas tahara. That is sufficient. We have a clear-cut brisa which seems to state that halacha. Amali Rav Achabe de Rav Yisrael Rav Ashi lav terutzikum tartinula. Didn't you have to revise the brisa? If you recall, we had a kasha, Rav's kasha from Stoim, and we had to go revise the whole case in the brisa. So once we've done that, teritz ve'mahachi. So let's go revise it the following way. Safarti ve'nideas kama safarti. Let us tweak the lashon of brisa as follows. They're speaking about an Isha who's saying as follows: I was Sefer, I did a bdika shiva nekiyim. I simply don't remember how many days I was Sefer. Im b'mei Niddah safarti, b'mei ziva safarti. So again, she doesn't know how many days she saw. She doesn't know when those days took place, when those riyas took place during the Niddah, during the ziva. But here's the punchline: I was Sefer, I was Baidik. I made an actual verification. I just don't remember how many days I was Baidik, whether it was 1 day, whether it was 2 days, whether it was today, whether it was yesterday. So in that case, Matvil Naisa Tezvat Tfilos. So certainly we have to be Tayvila 15 Tfilos. Because in this case, there was a Badika, there was an actual verification. It was Sfur in the Fanenu. So you have no raya that there is any sheet in the world which holds that one is not required to have Sfur in Fanenu. Ask the Gemara, Safarti Veni Adas Kama Safarti. 1 second, hold on. You're saying that she's saying, I counted, I just don't know how many days. Right? Now, certainly 1 day she's definitely counted. She comes to us on a Friday, she says, I'm holding Bimei Sfirasi, Bimei Shiva Nekim, I counted. I'm in the middle of my counting days, I just don't know how many. Certainly today was one of the Shiva Nekim. So you have to discount something, you have to discount today from the calculation. Meaning, the reason why she was obligated to do so many tefillas was because we had a concern that perhaps today was her Yom Riyah, and therefore she needs to start her Shiva Nekim starting from tomorrow and be tayvel on the 8th day. Ask the Gemara, well, you have to discount at least today. You have to be sure that at least today she had no Riyah, because she's saying, I'm in the middle of my counting days. Chash lo tefillah, you have to deduct at least one tefillah on account of today. Says the Gemara, Ela'ema, you must say as follows: Ein yadas im safarti, im loy safarti. I don't know if I counted or if I didn't count, and therefore, in that case, it will certainly support Rav's raya. Meaning, we're speaking about an issue who doesn't know anything, doesn't know how many days she saw, doesn't know when she saw, doesn't know if she counted at all. In that case, we certainly have to entertain the possibility that she hasn't counted at all, and there were no sfurim b'fanenu, there was no bedikas at all, there was no verification. Still, no, the Brisa says she's considered as if she has a Shiva Nekiyim, and we have to be tayvel her accordingly. And that will be a pretty clear-cut raya that there is indeed a shita that holds that one is not required to have Sfurim B'fanim. So in conclusion, let's go back to the beginning of the sugya. Azav and Azav need to make a hefsek tahara. Following that, they need to do a bdika and a sfira of Shiva Nekiyim. If they only did a bdikas Aleph V'zayin, the first and the 7th day, Rabbi Lezer holds that is enough. Rabbi Shua says the only days that will count are the 1st and the 7th. Rabbi Kiva says the only day that counts is the 8th. If he only did a 1st and an 8th, so according to Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shua, certainly we only count the 8th day. According to Rabbi Lezer, however, there's a machlekes amoraim. Rav maintains tchilasan av b'shein soifan, soifan av b'shein tchilasan. One is permitted to make a bdika on day number 1 and nothing more. As well, if he makes a bdika on day number 8, on day number 7, and nothing prior to that, in both cases, it is v'cheskas tahara and it is sufficient. It would appear that this is only b'diavad, of course. Now, the Gemara said that Rav is going with the shita that we don't need sfurin lifanenu, and that is the shita of the Brisa, which we just learned, that even if it's not actually verified in our presence, there was no b'dika done, there is simply a presumption that is sufficient to be considered Sfiras Shiva Nekim. Says the Mishnah, Hazava, Hazava, Niddah, Vayeledes, Vametzera, Shemesu, that they died. Metamen b'masa, there is still metame tumas masa, if one is to carry them, or an object will carry them. Ad shiyamuk habasar, until the flesh decays, and the Gemara will expound on the meaning of this halach. Continues the Mishnah, Ovid kecham shemes, a guy who dies. Now we know a guy has a din of tumas zav. The Rabbanan imposed tumas zav on a guy. Now, if he's mace, tamar militame, he's no more tamei. Continues the Mishnah. Every woman who dies has a din of a niddah, and anything that she has come into contact with prior to her misa is tamei. We consider it to be a niddah. Only if we know for sure, for certain that she was a niddah, otherwise she doesn't have tumas niddah. Says the Gemara, my b'masa. What does the Mishnah mean that azav, azava, niddah, yoledes, and mitzvah that are mesu are still matame b'masa? Ilaim b'masa mamash. We're speaking about an ordinary tumas masa. Atu kol meis milay matame b'masa. What's so special about azav and azava? Every meis is matame b'masa. Ella my b'masa be'even masama. We're speaking about a very unique type of tumas masa, a tumas masa that was associated with a very heavy boulder, a boulder that is immobile, that is meant to be stationary, and a zav and a zava sit on this boulder, and there's an object underneath this even. Now this is not a typical tumas masa, since it's not meant to be carried, it is not meant to be metalta with this even, with this heavy, very heavy rock. It's meant to stay in its place. So regarding a mace, a tumas masa that is associated with tumas mace will not have the din of tumas even masama. If a kazayas of a mace is sitting, placed on top of this heavy boulder, and there's an object underneath, it will not become tamei through the mace. It is not considered as if the object is carrying the mace, since it is not meant to be carried in this manner. However, the cases mentioned in the Mishnah, azav and so forth, they have a chumrah, they have a stringency above and beyond a tumas mace. They are indeed matame even v'tumas even masama. Again, elamai b'masa be'even masame. T'chsiv heisis even chad. I will take a boulder v'sumas alpum guv. I'll place it on top of the well. So the question remains: why is that so? Why is it that a zav and a zav who died have an added chumrah above and beyond the regular mace? The chayr would seem rational that they are merely considered mason, and they have tumas masa like any other ordinary mace. They're not zav and zav anymore, since they are merely mason. Says the Gemara, my time, Amar Rav, it is Gzera d'Rabbanan, Gzera Shema Yisalfa. If a zav will faint, and somebody will, an observer will perhaps think that he died, and will absolve him of his tumas even masama, he will say, well, now he's not a zav anymore, he's dead, he's a mace. He only has regular tumas mace, and will not apply the din of tumas even masama in this case. So because of that, Chacham will geyser that every zav and a zav, even achar misa, they still maintain their tumas even misama until a certain point when it's pretty obvious that they're already mason. Like I mentioned in the Mishnah, the shear of yisakal abasar, that the flesh will become decayed. Tanum shom blazer amra, another shear achi yibaka, creates until their abdomen splits, and then it's pretty obvious, and there's no room for confusion anymore. Continues the Gemara, oivit kechavim shemes. This aforementioned stringency that is applied to a zav and a zava who were mace, that they are matame tumas even mesama, they maintain their tumas ziva, that is only regarding a yid, not regarding a guy. A guy who dies, he is tar from this tumah. Tanya Amar Rebbe mipnei ma amru of kechavim shemes tar matame masa. Why is that so? That a guy who dies is already absolved, he's tar from being matame tumas masa. And again, we're speaking about the tumas masa, which is unique to a zav, the tumas even masama. What's the difference between a yid and a guy? The answer is a fish ain't tumas mechayim medivrei Torah. Elam medivrei seifim. It is merely a drabanan. The tumas akum that we impose, the tumas zav on akum is min drabanan, and therefore the rabbanan limited it only to when he's alive and not lachar misa. It would seem that we can apply the universal klal of we are not geyser gzera l'gzera. We don't do a double gzera, being that the initial tumah is only gzera rabbanan. We don't add an additional tumah, which would be a result of an additional gzera, a gzera l'gzera. So we limit it only me'chaim. Continues the Gemara. Tana Rabban. Shnei masa dvarim shalu anshel Alexandria Rabbi Shimon Chananya. 12 things the people from Alexandria asked Rabbi Shimon Chananya. Gimel divrei chachma. 3 were questions of chachma, of wisdom, of halacha. Gimel divrei haggadah. 3 were connected to Haggadah, to Drush. Gimel divrei buris, they were nonsense. 3 divrei derech eretz, regarding derech eretz, the way of life, good advice. Continues the Gemara. Gimel divrei chachma, they asked him 3 regarding halachas. Hazav v'hazav v'anida v'yiledus ha'mitzvah shemesu. Until when are they still matame tumas masa? As we explained earlier, we're speaking about this unique tumas even masama. Until when? Until what point? Until the flesh decays. Otherwise, until then, there is a chashash, there's a concern of shemius alpha, like we mentioned earlier. Bas meshalachas ma'ilakayin. What about if a person retrieves his grusha? He remarries his divorcee. Now we know there's a halacha. There's an issur for a person to remarry once his wife married somebody else. If he gives a get and his wife went and married somebody else, he can't bring her back. So what if he does that and they have a child? What is the status of that child? Is she kosher to l'kahuna or not? Could she marry a kohen? Do we apply a kavachayim here? Uma almanu kohen gadol she'ein yisur shavakoil madach. We find a almana who married a kohen gadol, who was asked to marry a kohen gadol, and she went ahead and married, and this issur is not equal to all. It is a specific issur directed only at a kohen gadol. Still in all, even though it is a very limited issur, b'na pogum. If they have a child, his pogum is tainted, he's nifsal. Zushi issur shavakoil. Our case, a bas mishalach, somebody who remarries his divorcee, that is an issur shavakoil, is equal to all yidden. Eina din, certainly the product of this marriage of b'na pogum will be pogum. A dilma, perhaps. You can say there's a distinction. Almana has a stringency, and you can't learn from there. Why? Mala almana kohen gadol sheyatz from ischalalas. Almana who marries a kohen gadol, she herself becomes ischala, she becomes nifsal l'kahuna. She can go marry a kohen, and therefore, certainly her child will have a psul as well. But in our case, where a person is machzor grushasai, she doesn't become nifsal l'kahuna, and therefore, perhaps her child will not become pasal l'kahuna. Amar lehen. He tayeva ve'im b'nei tayevan. There's a pasuk by Machzor Grushasai which says ki tayeva he. She's a tayeva. She's a damnation. Only her and not her children. We may have a diuk that only she becomes a tayeva, but it doesn't affect her children, and certainly her child is eligible to marry a kohen.